Alright guys, welcome to the channel. Thank God it's Friday. Yeah, it is now. In the early hours, the morning of Friday, nearly the weekend. Anyway guys, hope you're all doing good. Hope you're all happy, blessed, doing okay. Just want to go over a scripture today. A Psalm 78, quite a long one. A Maskil of Asaph. I'm not sure what it's about exactly, but let's just go straight into it. So, my people, hear my teaching. Listen to the words of my mouth. I will open my mouth with a parable. I will utter hidden things from of old, things we have heard and known, things our ancestors have told us. We will not hide them from their descendants. We will tell the next generation the praiseworthy deeds of the Lord. 1 second, guys. Change this light here. It's a bit bright. It's a bit on the bright side. That's a bit better. Actually, yeah, it's a bit better. Where did we get to? We will tell the next generation the praiseworthy deeds of the Lord, his power and the wonders he has done. He decreed statutes for Jacob and established the law in Israel, which he commanded our ancestors to teach their children, so that the next generation would know them, even the children yet to be born. And they in turn would tell their children. Then they would put their trust in God and would not forget his deeds, but would keep his commands. They would not be like their ancestors, a stubborn and rebellious generation, whose hearts were not loyal to God, whose spirits were not faithful to him. The men of Ephraim, though armed with bows, turned back on the day of battle. They did not keep God's covenant and refused to live by his law. They forgot what he had done, the wonders he had shown them. He did miracles in the sight of their ancestors, in the land of Egypt, in the region of Zoan. He divided the sea and led them through. He made the water stand up like a wall. He guided them with the cloud by day and with light from the fire all night. He split the rocks in the wilderness and gave them water as abundant as the seas. He brought streams out of a rocky crag and made water flow down like rivers. But they continued to sin against him, rebelling in the wilderness against the Most High. They willfully put God to the test by demanding the food they craved. They spoke against God. They said, "Can God really spread a table in the wilderness?" True, he struck the rock and water gushed out. Streams flowed abundantly, but can he also give us bread? Can he supply meat for his people? When the Lord heard them, he was furious. His fire broke out against Jacob, and his wrath rose against Israel, for they did not believe in God or trust in his deliverance. Yet he gave a command to the skies above and opened the doors of the heavens. He rained down manna for the people to eat. He gave them the grain of heaven. Human beings ate the bread of angels. He sent them all the food they could eat. He let loose the east wind from the heavens, and by his power made the south wind blow. He rained meat down on them like dust, birds like sand on the seashore. He made them come down inside their camp. All around their tents, they ate till they were gorged. He had given them what they craved, but before they turned from what they craved, even while the food was still in their mouths, God's anger rose against them. He put to death the sturdiest among them, cutting down the young men of Israel. In spite of all of this, they kept on sinning. In spite of his wonders, they did not believe. So he ended their days in futility and their years in terror. Whenever God slew them, they would seek him. They eagerly turned to him again. They remembered that God was their rock, that God Most High was their Redeemer. But then they would flatter him with their mouths, lying to him with their tongues. Their hearts were not loyal to him. They were not faithful to his covenant. Yet he was merciful. He forgave their iniquities and did not destroy them. Time after time he restrained his anger and did not stir up his full wrath. He remembered that they were but flesh, a passing breeze that does not return. How often they rebelled against him in the wilderness and grieved him in the wasteland. Again and again they put God to the test. They vexed the Holy One of Israel. They did not remember his power. The day he redeemed them from the oppressor, the day he displayed his signs in Egypt, his wonders in the region of Zoan. He turned their river to blood. They could not drink from their streams. He sent swarms of flies that devoured them and frogs that devastated them. He gave their crops to the grasshopper and produce to the locust. He destroyed their vines with hail and their sycamore figs with sleet. He gave over their cattle to the hail, their livestock to bolts of lightning. He unleashed against them his hot anger, his wrath, indignation, and hostility, a band of destroying angels. He prepared a path for his anger. He did not spare them from death. But gave them over to the plague. He struck down all the firstborn of Egypt, the first fruits of manhood in the tents of Ham. But he brought his people out like a flock. He led them like sheep through the wilderness. He guided them safely, so they were unafraid. But the sea engulfed their enemies, and so he brought them to the border of his holy land, to the hill country his right hand had taken. He drove out nations before them and allotted their lands to them as an inheritance. He settled the tribes of Israel in their homes, but they put God to the test and rebelled against the Most High. They did not keep his statutes. Like their ancestors, they were disloyal and faithless, as unreliable as a faulty bow. They angered him with their high places and aroused his jealousy with their idols. When God heard them, he was furious. He rejected Israel completely. He abandoned the tabernacle of Shiloh and the tent he had set up among humans. He sent the ark of his might into captivity, his splendor into the hands of the enemy. He gave his people over to the sword. He was furious with his inheritance. Fire consumed their young men, and their young women had no wedding songs. Their priests were put to the sword, and their widows could not weep. Then the Lord awoke from his sleep as a warrior wakes from the stupor of wine. He beat back his enemies. He put them to everlasting shame. Then he rejected the tents of Joseph. He did not choose the tribe of Ephraim, but he chose the tribe of Judah, Mount Zion, which he loved. He built his sanctuary like the heights, like the earth that he established forever. He chose David his servant and took him from the sheepfolds. From tending the sheep, he brought him to be the shepherd of his people, Jacob, of Israel his inheritance, and David shepherded them with integrity of heart, with skillful hands he led them. So that's the word, guys. Don't know what to take from that, really. I mean, it's talking about history, like what happened in Egypt and everything. And Israel, etc. Talking about the past. How God led the Israelites through Egypt, etc., and stuff like that. I think, or out of Egypt even. I don't really know. I haven't read that part of the Bible for a while, so yeah, led the Israelites out of or led the Israelites out of Egypt. I think that's kind of what it's about. And talks about the past and stuff, like all the plagues and everything. And how whether it's the people of Egypt or the people of Israel weren't faithful to God, kind of thing, and it showed God's wrath coming upon them and stuff, and how they were so kind of like flippant when the wrath fell upon them. They were, when the wrath fell upon them, they turned from the wicked ways, but as soon as the wrath was off them, they turned back to the wicked ways, kind of thing. You know, like worshipping idols and stuff like that, and whether it says other gods or what, but worshipping idols and stuff. And basically taking part in kind of like revelry, like eating themselves with the fine foods and everything and stuff, and more concerned with the fine foods and everything than they were sort of like worshipping God, kind of thing. So I think that's kind of what it's kind of saying. That's kind of what it's saying. And it talks about how he rejected the tents of Joseph. He did not choose the tribe of Ephraim, but he chose the tribe of Judah, Mount Zion, which he loved. He built his sanctuary like the heights, like the earth that he established forever. He chose David his servant and took him from the sheepfolds, from tending the sheep. He brought him to be the shepherd of his people, Jacob, of Israel, his inheritance. And David shepherded them with integrity of heart, with skilled hands he led them. Yeah, David was a man after God's own heart. That's why God chose him, kind of thing. David was very much a servant, and yeah, he was one of God's sheep. He was very much a servant, and from being a servant, he brought him to be the shepherd of his people, Jacob, or Israel, his inheritance. David shepherded them with integrity of heart. He had a good heart. He was upright in standing, and he had an upright heart and stuff, integrity of heart. And with skilled hands he led them. So yeah, that's the word, guys. I hope you can take something from it. I hope it blessed you in some way. Feel free to like the content, to share it, to subscribe to the channel. Appreciate every single one of you guys. I hope it reached who God needed it to reach, and I pray it bless someone, and pray it helps guide people, and if they need guidance. So yeah, this is the word, guys. Thanks for watching as always. Love you all. Keep fighting the good fight of faith. Keep prayed up. Keep being faithful to God. And what else? Yeah, keep prayed up. Keep the faith. Keep the faith, the biggest thing. Keep the faith. Without faith, you can't please God. So yeah, or it's impossible to please God without faith. So yeah, keep the faith. Keep prayed up, and keep seeking after the Lord, and keep reading His Word. That's all I can say, really. That's my advice to anyone out there who's Christian, whether they're sort of on and off Christians, sort of like hard, they got strong faith, weak faith, in between faith. They've been through trials, they haven't been through trials. The young in the walk with Christ, or the old in the walk with Christ, same. I still say the same thing. Keep the faith, keep prayed up, and keep reading the Word. Those are essential things. The most essential things, I would say. So yeah, that's what I think anyway, guys. Thanks for watching. Much love. God bless, and I'll be back soon. Take care, guys. Bye.